his life!
Hey guys, today I bring to you some gaming benchmarks on Battlefield 1 running on a NVIDIA GTX 970M. The computer running this card is a Razer Blade 14 2015 edition, and we'll be testing both DirectX 11 and DirectX 12. We'll be running benchmarks on both the campaign and the multiplayer, all on the latest NVIDIA driver, which is currently version 375 point something, which is like the one that got released for Battlefield 1. And without further ado, here are the benchmarks. So first off, let's start by showing you the graphics settings. So these settings are about medium to ultra, and do note that these settings are set above NVIDIA's and Battlefield's recommendations. So we should be able to get about 60 frames per second, at times less, at times more, but anyway, here it is. Right off the bat, we do see that DirectX 11 is performing quite a lot better than DirectX 12, about 10 frames per second better, and in terms of GPU and CPU utilization, the GPU on both DirectX 11 and 12 is being used at 99% usage, so that's good, while the CPU seems to be utilized more in DirectX 11 rather than DirectX 12.
We came from all over the world. So many of us thinking this war would be our rite of passage, our great adventure. Let me tell you, it was no adventure.
Particularly in this scene, we do see that the difference in frames per second between DirectX 11 and DirectX 12 has been decreased quite significantly, but there's still more CPU utilization on DirectX 11. In this part of the prologue, we do see a huge difference in frames per second, with DirectX 11 even rendering up to 80 frames, while DirectX 12 rendering up to just 60. Now we move on to the tank scene, which again shows the same 10 frames per second difference between DirectX 11 and 12. In this part of the scene, most of the environment is being destroyed with a lot of particles flying, and it does not seem to bog down the GPUs that much, and it's still staying at that constant frame rate that it has always been outputting.
Push on, damn it! We're almost through! Fire at anything that moves! We're gonna make it! Shit! Incoming!
Instead of adventure, we found fear. And in war, the only true equalizer.
In this part of the prologue, gameplay is a little bit more random, but I've tried to sync it up as much as possible to provide some sort of comparison. Again, here we see that the difference in frame rate between DirectX 11 and 12 decreased significantly to maybe just a few frames per second. Now moving on to the multiplayer, we cannot assume that the scenarios are always the same. There will always be differences because of online gameplay, but it should give you a general idea of what frame rate you should get when you're playing in this map. We will be playing on the same map, which is this forest map, and we do notice that frame rate is significantly lower than in multiplayer than in campaign. This is probably due to the large scale battle that's going on, especially on a 64 player server. A lot of things is going on in the battlefield, and that requires a lot of CPU processing. Also, we use Bandicam to record this gameplay footage, and it may or may not have affected the performance, but it definitely affected performance in DirectX 12. Gameplay in DirectX 12 was noticeably more choppy and had more input lag compared to DirectX 11. However, this is only shown in multiplayer. Stopping the recording on Bandicam does improve the input lag, but there's still stutters, and generally DirectX 11 still looks nicer and smoother. Also, you can see the game fails to meet the 60 frames per second mark multiple times during multiplayer gameplay. This can be fixed by turning down ambient occlusion and turning down anti-aliasing post. Also, a new driver has been released to provide further optimization to Battlefield 1, which should improve performance and allow you to constantly hit that 60 frames per second mark. I've managed to do this with this computer running DirectX 11, and it runs well. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to let the benchmark continue running, but in conclusion, if you're using this card or have the laptop that uses this card, just use DirectX 11. It seems right now DirectX 12 is still buggy and it's causing stuttering issues and input lag. So thanks for watching, guys.
Zu mir! Hier, Munition für dich!
We have taken objective Charlie.
Mehr Munition! Braucht jemand Munition?
We have taken objective Charlie.
Hier, frische Munition! Hat jemand Munition bestellt? Schickt dir eine Granate! Hier, Munition! Hier, frische
We have
Munition!
lost objective Apples.
Coming down!